Well, hi everyone. Looks like we're live. I don't know about y'all. We were all complaining about the heat, or mostly I was complaining about the heat. Um,
I was too.
Aaron, I
And then I put
appreciate
this
your
on.
commitment. Yeah, I appreciate your commitment to the bit. I really do, but I could not right now. I do love it. Did you have to make that yourself? Like you did it like yourself, right?
Yeah, I just took a pin and stuck it on the just on the inside of the whatever. It's a pin.
That
Yeah.
is that is
Dude, what
fantastic.
badge? What badge is that, dude?
It's the Discovery.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Interesting. If you look at the badge on his, it's backwards. The swoop is on the other side. I don't know why, but it was inverted.
Oh, you know
Which
what I
makes me
bet
wonder
it
what
is?
they did. What?
I bet it's right if it's maybe the way he flipped it up that it's right or something. Never mind.
But
I
that
was
wouldn't
thinking that
invert
maybe
yeah.
I don't know.
Upside down, sure. But
Yeah.
it's his way of getting around it not being regulation. It's like as a joke. Not sacrilegious or something, basically.
I like this. I like this. Just trying to like he's a teenager trying to hide the fact that he got a tattoo or something.
Yeah.
From his mom.
That would be great. His mom told him how to taught him how to sew. And
yeah. Okay, I guess. Do we want to go around and say initial thoughts of what we all thought about the episode?
Sure.
Charade.
Charade. Yeah, let's give it a name.
Yeah.
Hi and welcome.
And not Spock Amok like Christina Chong accidentally tweeted earlier.
Oh, that's funny. It feels like it though. It's like a sequel.
Spock Amok
virtual
too.
sequel.
it kind of felt like she was giving a charades clue, but in text, which is breaking the rules. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I thought this episode was really cute. I thought that it started off a little slow. Like the first 20 minutes, I was like, oh, look at them. They're like saving all this money, by filming this kind of stuff and not having any CG or going on any real adventures. But then the second half of the show really picked up for me. I especially loved T'Pring's mom. Her name is T'Pil, I think.
T'Pril.
T'Pril. I was like, ooh, look at mom, coming through, spilling truth tea. I just absolutely loved it.
Space Karen.
And so, I was surprised that they went as far as they seemingly are going with Nurse Chapel and Spock. I haven't watched very much TOS, but I always thought that in TOS she kind of had a longing, and he was kind of standoffish with her. But now they,
same in TAS.
They're making out, possibly having sex now. So I don't know. I think that's very interesting.
Maybe their memories will get erased.
I enjoy the new shuttle. I enjoyed the girls' trip with with Uhura.
Okay, I say from experience, girl road trips are fantastic.
I totally loved the trippy aliens that reminded me of bad AI. So it reminded me of being on the phone with T-Mobile AI or
oh my God,
Comcast or Walmart in the app.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being
insurance companies
frustrated. Yeah, so I thought that was really fun. I enjoyed how cheesy it looked.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a fun episode, but it surprised me in some ways. But I had a lot of fun.
I can mirror that with a little bit of negativity because I did not love this episode. I tried. I really wanted to. There was a lot of fun stuff happening. A lot of little bits that I'm like, oh, I like that. But then the overall execution was a little too wonky for me. There were a lot of things where I was like, wait, what? Wait, why? What? Why? It just kept pulling me out of the story. I I missed some of the funny moments on my first and second watch. Because some things just felt like it didn't make sense. Like it kind of felt like this episode was, okay, we're gonna they put up on the wall like we're gonna make Spock fully human in this episode, and they were like, oh, cool. Is it gonna be a interesting commentary about being biracial? No, not at all. Is it gonna be something about family dynamics and really building the bond with his mother? Maybe a little bit. Well, okay, what's the goal of this episode? It's to get him to cheat on his fiance, and that's full stop. Like, okay, well, why? Like, my question for this episode was why? Like, I wanted to like it. There were good, funny moments. There were excellent performances. And my big problem, yes, I was going to end on that. You cannot set up something like Pelia and Amanda having this big, important, critical relationship. She's the first human that Pelia came out to as an alien, and then don't pay it off. Now, I know it's probably production and like Carol Kane wasn't available or the filming was out of order. Totally get that. We're going to talk about it, Sohail, because no, they did not. This is
they were on break.
Spoiler alert, this is why my salon is named the Ross and Rachel episode. Like, oh, no. That's a big problem for me, is like she said maybe we need time apart. There was none, zero. I cannot be convinced that they broke up. I don't mind him and Chapel hooking up. I mind him cheating. That was the problem for me. And I will end on a high note. I actually do love the retconning of Chapel from TOS. I love that what we saw in TOS is mourning the loss of a potential relationship that we're now seeing happen. It really messes with canon for sure, but I just struggled with this episode, and I wanted to like it a lot more than I ended up.
That's fair. I'm really curious to see where they go with him and Chapel, because I feel like it's going to take a tragic turn that will make it TOS and TAS make more sense. But that's me guessing from someone who reads and writes romance stuff. So like, what about you, Aaron?
I would say that very last scene, I was like, oh. Okay, that's the only bad thing of the episode that I really didn't like. It's like I don't need to see them making it. It's like there is the whole idea of cheating, but it's just it feels like it adds a little bit of too much of a soap opera twist. But everything else I loved. I mean, like I loved Ethan Peck's like just reacting a little too much to everything. Especially my mind to your mind, and she's like, okay, now you seem kind of pushy. But I actually, talking to Stanley's point, I think that they're setting it up for Pelia and Amanda to have something later, because if you put her into this, I think you dilute everything. You wouldn't be able to give either story as much as you should.
I think that I hear that, but if this is the comedy episode, what a huge missed opportunity to have Carol Kane be the one to greet her in the transporter room.
Yeah.
That's super fair. I did love they still got a joke in about her being like, she's definitely stealing stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
super funny. But
why is there a dilithium shortage?
Yes, that was the thing. Like my notes, like my list is multiple pages.
Oh, so I
felt like I was being too bitchy on this episode, and I hated that.
Our dilithium storage. I thought he just meant like the Enterprise was running low on dilithium, so they had to send someone to go get some.
Yeah, just the way it was phrased seemed more dire or something, but he wasn't putting the weight. It's like obviously they aren't, well, they're also at sub light. That was they were at sub impulse, which means impulse is a quarter the speed of light. So if they're going, like, they're never going to get where they're going if they're actually below, like, they're just going to be stuck in space, because it takes a long time to get someplace if you're below, sub impulse. I thought that was weird.
Yes, that is on my notes too, Joel.
So yes, and I did. This is why I'm wearing this. I did love the
just kind of
hi
staying
mom
around.
That was like
yeah. I thought that I found that shit, like that part especially. I was like, I think this might be the most adorable I've ever found Spock, just being like, "Hi,
Well,
Mom."
you say also, yeah, like that was another thing for me. It's just like, okay, now he's super cute.
Yeah. I really like this episode. I do get what you're saying, especially with the cheating. I don't know like why that didn't like phase me. I like at the time, but no, you're not wrong on that point. I have been known to really like a goofy Star Trek episode that like, does this make sense? I don't know, but I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to have a goofy fun time. Like one of my favorite TNG episodes is the Royale. Give me like I'm here for silly. And I thought that like comedically this was so fun for me that like probably things that like maybe would have bothered me in like a serious episode more didn't, because I was literally cackling. Like I wasn't doing a cute little giggle. I was fully sounding. Here's a fun fact. I sound like a seal when I laugh really hard, and I sounded like a seal while watching this episode.
So Rachel, and
we were all muted. So,
in which parts
Yeah.
did you laugh? Like, what got big laughs from you? Do you remember?
A lot of Anson Mount actually.
Hilarious in this.
he
like,
walks out and then just turns around and goes,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think I watched it with Erin. I said, like, can someone make me a gif of that? Like, just
Yeah.
leaving.
And I made one, and like she's like, I can't use this yet because we were not supposed to.
Yeah.
We saw it before other people.
I need to use it now.
Yeah, there you go.
They a lot of Ethan Peck, like over the top, being like teenager, and I like how they played like I think the subtlety they did the joke, like, oh, if he's acting like a teenager, he'd also be like a little horny, but they didn't like overplay it too much. He's just like, oh, that's embarrassing. Like,
You know, Ethan Peck was really good this episode. Like he showed so much range. I was really surprised by that.
He showed like
you can actually see what he suppresses too. It's kind of cool. It's like, oh, that's the overlay. I see how Vulcans do that kind of. It's like if this is your real human personality. So
yeah,
it it's such like scenes with Ethan Peck really made me laugh. The scene with Sam, also Sam was back. Just, like,
I loved when he came on to La'an, dude.
Yeah. And she just like awkwardly taps him like,
Impulse
oh no,
control.
I need to leave now. Yeah.
I thought that was so great.
But I thought Anson Mount, despite not like obviously not being the central focus of the episode, like I kept finding my eyes like trickling over to Pike, being like, what is he doing back there? Like it's so funny. Just,
I liked his
trying to be like food. Like I made you food.
Yeah, like everything will be fine. I have food.
I like that T'Pril can smell salt.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's salted. I'm like, how do you know that?
I did. Like I love she came in, she was like, oh, like, you know, it smells like something, but like she didn't say what it was. You know, it's like, ooh, yeah, like these people, like they smell like swine.
The just the person, the dynamics between the T'Pril and her husband is just like, okay, that's get him alone and he'd be a fun guy, you know.
Yeah, I like that he was a little less Vulcan than we usually see Vulcans being, but it's his wife that snaps him back a little bit. I thought she was a little too aggressive, but I get that was the point. So I sort of ignored that. I think if it weren't for the other things that were kind of getting to me in this episode, I would have been I would have been more forgiving of that. Because I thought there were a few opportunities for Amanda to get in a few more jabs. I loved the ones that she did. Like Mia Kirshner is incredible. I know I said there wasn't enough earlier. I loved what we got with Spock and Amanda. I wanted more, especially that last scene. I thought it could have gone on for another 30, 45 seconds at least. But the one thing that bothered me most was, and now I'm going to teach you about being human. I'm going to teach you to lie. Like, it just didn't land for me. And like, I know that was like meant to be a joke, but it was just a little too wonky. To me, it felt like I'm going to teach you how to be human, and all humans are liars. And therefore that's it felt a little, It was like being hit over the head with it.
Wish there was a moment where she was like, "Let me teach you about the white lie." Like sometimes lying is
something
good.
a little more subtle would have been great.
Yeah, I did, however, like in that scene where it's like, it's like with the help of your captain, it's like, do I have a choice in this matter? You do not. His face
there.
You're conscripted no matter what.
Oh, I really like that line actually.
I just keep bringing up Anson Mount's little funny face, but the scene where Spock's trying to get like him to like help him lie to Amanda, and he goes like, he's like, "Oh, we're far too busy." She's like, "Oh, but aren't you on like half staff or whatever it was called?" And he goes, "Yes." Spock's like, "What the hell?" It just his face is, I don't know, like I don't like. Sorry.
The acting was really good no matter what they were saying.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Didn't like the lines.
Yeah.
It's like just their performances were just flawless. It felt like
100%.
Also, cheers to costuming again this week. Like Amanda looked amazing.
I wanted to follow her into battle in that armor.
And I could totally tell from Frill's uniform, like her dress. You can see how it's like not her style, but it's still pretty. But it's just sort of like, okay, this is her mom.
Yeah, I'm gay as hell, but she looks so hot. Like it is incredible. Give the costumers all the awards.
Yeah.
I love Amanda's like blue dress so much. If like Star Trek Las Vegas wasn't less than a month away, I'd be like, can I?
Yes.
Do something with that? Also,
girl, it had a lot of cleavage. It had a lot of cleavage, girl. Like
I mean, that's doable for me. I don't like. Or also sometimes I adjust stuff to make it more comfortable. But also that long sleeve dress might not be a great choice for the desert, but.
Well, at least you can wear a dress. That's better than like having to wear pants and stuff like that. So you have some airflow.
That's true. What? That's fair, Sohail. That's fair.
So she's a liar, Sohail. I'm kidding.
I'm
just saying because Sohail earlier was giving me shit about talking about humans being liars because we are great liars. Humans are awful. Many of us.
Indeed.
But no, speaking of Amanda, I have a theory that they're reintroducing Amanda to anyone who didn't watch Discovery to set her up for like a later episode where she'll have like something to do with Pelia, and it's just like, hey, we want you to introduce the basic. This is Spock's mom. She's human. Like, he's not talking to
if you've never watched it, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, and I think they probably wouldn't want the show to like you have to have watched every other Star Trek to know what was happening in like basic episodes. What I'm trying to think, what else was happening? Oh, I did like the beginning. It was interesting to see like Spock normal, like as he normally is, and then Spock like losing control doing the same activities. I really interesting to watch Ethan Peck in both those scenes.
Just going back to Amanda really fast, like, I feel like I would have liked to see Amanda and Michael Burnham talk about how Amanda like was ostracized by other Vulcan mothers and things. Like, I feel like that's a conversation that like Michael and Amanda would have had.
I forgot about this.
Hard for Amanda because of that. Like, she gets a human ward. Nope, I'm gonna be full Vulcan too.
So I don't know why I thought this, except when they later were talking about the memory, and I did like the scene where they're talking about what it actually was and like what it meant to Amanda. And for a second, I thought they were going to say that she shared a memory about Michael, which is why he lied about it. And then I was like, oh, no, I just was thinking about Discovery, I guess.
I was wondering if they're going to do like something from yesteryear or something, just like her mom, his, she wouldn't necessarily know what happened. So I'm like, probably not going to do that. And they didn't.
Yeah. I'm trying. Sorry.
Related to Joel's comment about the food, this is completely off topic, but just like it's like
That's
they got
fine.
the food to go. I was like, where do they have a refrigerator in their quarters? Like, how do you store the food? That was to me very like, I know it's a dumb, mundane question, but I'm just like, what? I just imagine like the little box with the little sticker that's a Starfleet Delta keeping it together.
I feel like I was wanting to see them like have like a styrofoam box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was just surprised that they were eating like sandwiches like we would eat right now. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
It made me want fries and a burger when I saw that. I was like, that looks good.
There's one detail about the lounge that kind of gets to me ever since I saw in between seasons they did here's what we're doing in season 2 behind the scenes about instead of using the AR wall and like a corner, they actually built out this really cool lounge and I love it. But one thing I cannot not see in the background, the wall pattern look like coffins. They don't even look like torpedo tubes. They just look like coffins to me. And so every lounge scene, I'm like, oh, a wall of coffins. So think about that every time you see a scene from now on.
Look, some goth kid got into Starfleet design, and he goes a little Easter egg in there.
It still looks really cool. I don't mind it. Just, coffins.
Put the food in space. It's very cool. Yeah, that would keep it fresh.
Since we brought it up, I do want to talk about the girls' trip and the supporting characters of this episode. I love that everybody had something to do. I will always want more Una, always, and there was plenty of opportunity for more Una in this episode. However, I will get off that soapbox for this week because the other things were more bothersome to me. However, what I loved was seeing Ortegas, Uhura, and Chapel come together like, no, we're doing this. It wasn't just Chapel and her crush on Spock, and it's not just a crush. It was there's something going on here, and it's a crewmate of ours as well. I would have loved more of that aspect. Like, we said yes to help you, but we care about him too. Yeah. And one of the things that bothered me with the Alien of the Week, which was there was such a potentially cool concept that got kind of thrown away for the comedy of this episode in the Kerkursians or whatever they're called. So it pulled me out of the episode in so many ways because it's just randomly in the Vulcan system. Why is the Vulcan Science Academy not there? Why is their expeditionary force not there? Why are they going in a shuttle? Like, why when they talk to Yellow and she hangs up on them, which was funny, did they not immediately take the Enterprise? Like, just little things like that. And the thing that really bothered me was towards the end when they were talking about getting help for Spock. It's like, oh, friends aren't important enough. Like, as a single person who lives alone, that really bothered me. Like, my friendships are just as intimate, even though there isn't romance. Like,
that felt like a cultural thing.
There was two things where I thought they were going to express. She's like, oh, I do feel more to him, but like these people care just as much about him, and they're just friends. They don't have those feelings. I did also feel like she should have been like, I'm his doctor. Like, what do you mean? Like,
yes,
like,
I'm his doctor.
I'm his medical practitioner. Like, that's why I'm seeking you.
I did love how Pike and Una, like the looks on their faces when they're like, oh, there are visuals. We're going to get to first contact. Like, that was delightful. I was like, ooh, more of this. Like more of this, like nerdy, like, oh, we're getting to talk to aliens for the first time. It was so cool. And then like, I kind of, it didn't land for me, but I loved what they were trying to do with the, like, you called me. It was funny, but there was just so much more that they could have played with there.
I have to expect it when they were waiting for Yellow to come back on, like having some sort of hold music or something.
Yes. That would have been funny. I did love because when they were like, you did not like. It's beyond the response time, because there's so many times I've been like, so like you waited so long. I was like, no, I didn't. I've been trying to get a hold of you for 2 weeks. Like, which is what they did. Like, they contacted them right away once they figured out what happened, because they were like, wait. No, he's not fixed. Like, this is not right.
We've been trying to contact you about your extended remediation.
Yeah.
But I love like we fixed it. It's fine. And we're like, it's really not.
Yeah, the Krakowians were great. I like that we didn't get too much of them. I wanted more, but I like that they just kind of gave us the comedy.
I feel like I wanted more. I, however, feel like that maybe more would have been overstaying its welcome.
Yeah.
And like practicality.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something like I was like, oh, something that I was like, I'd love for them to like pick this up on like lower decks.
Mm.
Because I feel like they could like really play with it without it, like, and go as silly as you want to with it without it being like, wait, how silly is this getting?
Peanut Hamper episode where she tries to take for the Krakowians.
The one thing I thought it was weird is like we have like a comedy, I'm assuming, with Lower Decks coming up very quickly. It's like so we're gonna have a gap, and then just like there's much comedy in this season. It seems like.
I don't necessarily. I miss comedy.
I don't mind it. I'm just saying it's like it's a 10 episode season. It's kind of
something that I love and is not, and I understand why. Like a show that is drama and comedy only really works episodically. Or somewhat episodically, at least, because I understand why Discovery couldn't just stop and be funny for an episode while like the fate of the world is on their hands. Like,
they
same
could.
thing with like Picard. Even though
although Spock was very funny in his season 2 episodes, and Michael, their interaction was great. Like, thank you for telling that to the group, Spock.
Yeah, I think there was always funny moments, which I prefer in my drama because that's how life is. Life is inherently a little funny because life is bizarre and like doesn't make sense. I think I do think they're saying, yeah. I guess they had trouble getting them back. Well, they did. They sent a shuttle to go get them.
It's like, I got a dinner to go cook, so I'm going to just drop it. Like, okay, Captain.
Because it feels like were they?
Sorry,
is
Spock's
this
mom
new?
won't let
Like,
me.
have they talked? Obviously, they haven't talked to those people. But like you said, it's in the Vulcan system. It seems highly unlikely that nobody would ever have tried to do this in the past, or unless it just happened. Maybe that energies. Although, why aren't the Vulcans there? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I just talked myself into like, no, it still doesn't make sense.
What did you guys think of the design of their dimension?
Super cool.
I thought it was really cool looking. I like that we're now able to get aliens that don't just look like us with something stuck on us. Like, which I understand why older shows needed that. But I think it's cool that we're able to like break beyond that now.
So I will not confirm nor deny that this comes from personal experience, but that other dimension did look like it could be seen whilst on certain substances. It felt like it could have perhaps been somebody described a shrooms or a ketamine trip to the writers, and they were like, oh, okay, well, let's talk to the visual effects team and make that happen.
After my heart transplant, I had something very similar. I found out it was like, oh, I had a trip basically, and it was an antifungal medication, and it gave me the equivalent of fungal as a mushroom trip. It was very weird. The melting walls thing. I don't know if that was just in the back of my head when people said that it could happen. It's just like, and then it happened. I'm like, okay, that's weird.
I did love the that asshole Vulcan academy guy. I was like, so many it reminded me of a couple of professors.
Yeah.
But wanted her to plagiarize them. Like, what was the assignment? Rewrite this paper word for word?
I was like, I just give you it back. Like, here? Like,
that dude was so nasty, dude. I certainly didn't appreciate the way that he was speaking to Nurse Chapel, dude. He didn't have to be so nasty.
It was just sort of like, here, memorize this. Do you remember this? Great,
They're like, oh yeah, let's find the gayest person who can just be like nasty as hell, like
It's
in the
funny.
scene. You know, he's like, oh yeah, like just give it to her.
He definitely gave theater professor vibes, theater
Yeah.
director vibes.
I want a yellow jacket or shirt like in the animated series, but it says Vulcans can be can be such jerks on the back instead of Kirk is a jerk.
It's interesting. We're seeing. I'm wondering if this is leading up to. We're seeing a couple like not obviously not all of them, but a couple like Vulcan jerks that I like. I wonder if that's going to be like a thing for something coming up. Like we have the guy messing with the guy from the trial episode. His name I can't remember.
Who's Stan?
Spock.
Yes, Spock. And then this guy. I was like, I wonder if this is leading to something where the like an episode that's gonna like be a lot about Vulcan.
You know, I want the best for T'Pring. T'Pril was really telling the truth at the ceremony. You know, Spock is not good enough for her. There are many men who want to be with T'Pring right now. You know, and hey, dude, like, I am in support of Stan, dude. Like, yeah, T'Pring, take this break and go and find yourself a man who can really love and appreciate you.
I love that aspect. It was the racist stuff that got me. It's like, come on.
Well,
totally right.
What racist stuff, dude?
Your impediment, your shame to your family because he's half human.
I also heard that, you know, when they were trying to teach him how to speak Vulcan, that maybe that in their world would also be kind of racist. It's like flat,
it's like
robotic.
They're trying to say, I'm just trying to sound like you. Like, specifically not all Vulcans.
No, this is just what I saw online. A couple conversations. I don't think
I would say like because I don't think they ever said like all Vulcans sound like this. They said you sound like this.
Yeah.
But they kind of do have that you know, kind of very similar delivery, you know, like very flat, like emotionally. You know, I thought the young lady who played T'Pring, you know, she continues to grow into that into that character. Like, not only did she look so beautiful, but I just thought like her delivery was just so good, and I can see the growth in the character like over the seasons and over the episodes that she's been in it. Like, she's just like, she's great to watch.
I know why we didn't get it in this episode, but I would have loved to see her with Chapel, because what we got last season, T'Pring has more chemistry with Chapel than Spock could ever. There are many people on the ship that have more chemistry than those two, but sure.
Well, interestingly, we
fill in the vibe. That's what I'm doing today.
Yeah,
we got a name drop of Corby, so that could be on the horizon.
Did I thought that was.
Dude, they had totally set me up, dude. Like, I thought that she was gonna get into the the course or whatever and be gone, and that's where she was gonna meet Roger Corby. But then, you know, like, they threw that out. I was like, oh well, I guess, you know, she's staying on the ship. And then the next scene, they were like making out. You know, I was like, oh wow, like, look at them. Like,
wonder, like, because I assume whatever's going on with her and Spock is not going to end well. That will make her go like, I need to get away for like something, and then she'll end up wherever she's away. That's when she'll end up meeting Corby.
Well, I'm assuming that the engagement stays on, because we see in the TOS that and that where it ends at that point. But
and they haven't yet broken up, because that's certainly not what we saw today.
Yeah,
I will die on that hill.
Well, that's not what they said.
I will say,
if you just look at it logically.
I was like, the episode was like, I see why you're mad at you. I see why T'Pril's mad at TOS.
Yeah. But, you know, like, on a break, like, I don't know.
That's not what they said. They said we need time apart.
Oh.
That is not the same.
And I will say, for the record, Rachel said maybe, and Ross didn't confirm. They both have reason to be upset and mad. It wasn't clear, but this one was.
It's
not
okay.
bad.
It'll go back and forth a million other times. They're fine.
Yes.
I
Time apart.
If you said that to like your
cannot get into the
like,
Ross and Rachel
best friend or
on the
something,
break
that doesn't
debate
mean like,
because,
oh, I'm never going to talk to you again. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. So I took it to mean a breakup because like they're already not seeing each other that often to begin with because of the schedule. So I would think time apart would mean breakup because they're already pretty separated to begin with.
But they're in the Vulcan system right now, so they're there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Time
That's
apart,
true.
like how is that different than what they already have? So that's why the wording was weird for me, and maybe it was intentional on the writer's part to leave it vague, but it definitely didn't. It like I feel fairly like I'm usually one to be like, well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but like I feel fairly firm in this not being an opinion because those words, like words mean things, right? So we need time apart. That like we need time apart to fuck other people. Like if she had said that part, go to town, go get stoned, let's do it.
I still think it's because they are there for a while. That you know that way. It's like basically, don't come and visit me at home while you're here. Just I need some need some time. Maybe. I mean that's kind of what I got out of it. But yeah, I did not get that it was a breakup. Also, in the back of my head, I know about TOS, so that's I think that might be part of it.
I think that's true.
Yes, as Ben Jenny said, yes, she can do better than Stan.
I think most people can. That's
I mean, I'm just talking about a booty call. I'm not saying
like is Stan really bad, dude? Like I thought that Stan in like this iteration of Stan was like, you know, he was like standing beside her and he seemed like cool in that episode where
he was hot.
I don't like him in TOS that often.
I don't know. I want Stan to be like rehabilitated on this show, dude. I'm in support of Stan.
Yeah.
You know, it seemed like Stan was like her like lieutenant at like the place that they were working, you know, and he supported her.
Oh, right, because he was the one who was going to be. Oh yeah, he is hot. The Strange New Worlds version.
The other one, his ears are way too big for his head.
The Strange New Worlds version is hot, dude. Yeah.
Yes, the
I just
one has
Googled
massive...
Stan Strange New Worlds. I'm like, oh, very handsome.
T'Pring and her mom, like, unfortunately, like, T'Pring has already like told T'Pring like everything that's wrong with her that she needs to improve on. She's like, oh well, like you already know, like Spock, like.
And I was like,
now for
you seem like maybe a bad parent to me.
You already know how disappointed I am in you.
I loved Amanda in that moment, especially when she said, "You need more self-confidence" or something like that to Pring. Like I was like, oh, tell your mom she's a bitch. Like, yes, Amanda.
Yeah, and I love that her dad is like, I told her that too. Like,
Jesus, fathery.
Yeah.
It's the way you wrote that. It's like, like the way the sentence is culminating. He's dead now. Like, honesty and death. I'm all for it. If when I die, a bunch of people don't say he was kind of an asshole, I will haunt them. Don't lie about me after
Maybe
I die.
I won't say that so I can still hang out with you after you die then, because you haunt me. We can still hang out.
Rachel, you lied. But hi, how's it going?
But hi, what Star Trek?
Yes.
Always. It's like, oh, what else? I was like, I feel like I've talked about a lot of the funny moments already, so I'm like trying to.
Well, I did like the serious moments with Spock and his mom. I thought that was actually pretty touching.
Those were really sweet.
In fact, I was like, oh, this is what you went through, and I didn't really notice it because of being Vulcan, essentially.
Yeah, I wanted more of that. It was all lovely. I just wanted more.
Because it was a mix of, I think, he was Vulcan and he was a child. So, like, you just don't. I think there was like a thing if you just don't, like, you don't realize, like, conceptually as a child, you don't actually realize your parents are people.
Yeah.
like in a way
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, there's shit going on there that like I didn't realize.
Well, in yesteryear, and I don't think they could get it across in the animation very well, but the idea that she's there when he says, I'm choosing the Vulcan way of life. And you can just kind of, it's the way the beat was and just how they moved, then she moved out of the way. It's like, you can tell she's like, oh, okay. It's like a little bit of a devastating blow without showing it.
Yeah.
That was
Also not
Magel's
animating it
voice,
because
right?
it was filmation. Yeah.
I watched that episode today when I saw Jill suggested it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's Magel's voice. Really lovely stuff.
I think they did try to get Jane Wyatt. That's right, is it?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. She was on a movie or something.
It would have been funny if they had James Doohan do it. And then he voiced several dozen characters across 2 seasons.
Another scene that I really enjoyed. Spock giving up the charade and coming out to everyone, saying that he was human. You know, like I thought that he was just going to keep it up like the whole time, but then he's like, oh, like just so you know, like a human did this. Then he like took off the ears, and they were like, oh.
I did love because it did seem that at the point,
Jerry Springer,
that it wasn't, and I relate to this a lot. It wasn't like she insulted him a lot earlier. That wasn't what got him mad. It was that at this point he was just so mad about her insulting Amanda.
Yeah,
that it was like I did a thing with a friend, old roommate that was chosen through random roommate selection. Never would have chosen to live with this person. Was said insulting things to me all the time. I just gotta let it slide. She said something very insanely rude to my friend, our other roommate, and I like lost it on her and started like yelling. And my other friend was like, "I've never seen you yell before. What is this?" And I was like, "You do not." I don't want to repeat for a large audience what she said. It was really terrible. Let's just say that.
Ooh, but now I want to know. Like put it in the chat or something. Like I got to know.
I can tell you that but it will be fine. Sorry, I don't mean to be secretive. It's just like it's not great.
It's also you don't have to spill your life out on YouTube. It's not required.
This is fair.
You don't want to have to like have a ukulele at some point, you know.
Oh God!
You brought it up, and I want the tea. I'm sorry.
No,
it's the gay in me.
Was to the ukulele thing. Not in a while, but I did used to watch her. So I didn't know about any of this shit.
That's the terrible secret you have.
Yeah. You know, life I've discovered as an adult is just your childhood heroes disappointing you over and over again, apparently. So I need people to stop doing that. What? Oh, I did. This is a funny. It's like, in a way, it's overdone, but I always find it funny. The Spock's like, "What the fuck?" Like, and I was like, you know what? That is because one, it makes sense. He's just lost control. And two, that would also be my reaction if I changed what species I was. Like. Which is basically
I wish we got the full word. I get it.
Too.
It's fine, but I kind of wish we got it. We've had two. I want one in Strange New Worlds.
I feel like he's not the character to do that, though. There's just something.
Yeah.
That's the line that it's like, okay, no, not Spock.
If not for him becoming a cheater in this episode, I would fully agree. Like Pelia, La'an.
Can Pelia have it? I want Pelia to say it. Okay to say it.
Yeah.
You know, a complaint that I have is that they were in the cafeteria eating sandwiches with no chips. You know, like I don't know. Like I was just like, where's the carbs? Like you need like potato salad or like potato chips. I mean, you know, people have been eating bread for like thousands of years, so people will still be eating bread. Like at this time in Star Trek, probably, you know, so like, you know, so like yeah, that's believable. They're eating sandwiches, but I was like, you know, like you need like the plate just look bare, like, you know, I was just like imagining like, oh, like maybe like they don't like, you know, like partially hydrogenated like oils and fats and things. Like, I don't know. I was just thinking about that weird stuff.
In
also in the
scene,
lounge. I was gonna say I liked the studying, and I liked studying with shots because I was like, I might have maybe done that a couple times in college.
I liked when they were doing the jokes and he got more like he kept laughing, and they did the subtle thing where he kind of slaps number one like on the shoulder, and you can see she's just like, because like it's normally Vulcans, I'm assuming, have like a more poof to it. Like it seems like he put that same amount of volume into like smacking her. She's like, it's like he just couldn't control himself at all. Period.
I liked that he was losing his shit over Kirk. However, this was another one of those little things where it's like the fact that the meeting wasn't over. Why is he demanding Kirk clean it up? And I rewatched this because I knew, I was like, I'm going to bring this up, and I know somebody's going to check me on it. I rewatched it just to double check. He fully swipes the crumbs onto the floor, not even onto the plate. Like
that doesn't help.
What are you doing?
That makes it worse.
I
Honestly.
did think who was going to clean that.
I've kind of always assumed the Enterprise is self-cleaning in some way because I don't see anyone. The Enterprise did a carpet. I never saw anyone vacuuming it.
Like I feel like I totally want to see
Roombas.
like the ship's janitor. Like I feel like I totally want to see that.
It would be some sort of like maintenance. And it would have like some fancy title, basically. And it'd be like, "What do you do?" It's like, I'm just the maintenance guy, or I'm just the janitor.
I don't know, it could be in like those like
Starfleet
houses that
Roombas.
have like those houses that have like vacuum stuff built into their walls, and you can just like push it in there.
Those are the
I see
worst
this.
vacuums in the world. I don't know why.
I have never owned one of those. I have not. Are they fancy? I don't know. I just know they
Our
exist.
friends had one. It was like, you can just plug it in and you put it in any room in the house. It was just like, like there was just no, because the pump is like on the other side of the house, and so it's just like the volume is just, I don't know. It doesn't work very well, in my opinion.
You need to have what are they called? Like it is absolutely not called a signal booster, but
like a repeater. Yeah, that's why it was like
a repeater. Yeah.
And apparently they're really super gross. Like they build up dirt, and then you have to clean it out.
Oh, that makes
your house can catch on fire.
100% makes sense. I don't have one of those. I just know they exist.
Well, like have to clean out your dryer lint or the trap or whatever. So it's basically that, but just all over.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that was super exciting.
Speaking of, I love that we saw Pike's bathroom, but I wanted to see the toilet. I want to see a toilet in Star Trek.
We saw Pike's bathroom. I didn't notice.
Well, we saw the powder room in where
he would,
where Spock goes to scream, and where Chapel goes to.
I mean, his quarters is so big; it's huge. Like I feel like everything is huge in the show. Like the shuttle looks really wide. It looks really spacious. Like the captain's quarters looks absolutely huge. Like every room.
His quarters, being big makes a lot of sense to me. Because so military brat generals would have the biggest houses. Like their bedroom area would be like relatively comparable to like everyone else on base, but they would have these huge living areas because they were expected to entertain like any diplomat. They came to base, and I was like, yeah, and he's using it correctly. The wife of a Vulcan diplomat is there.
Yeah.
And like they're using it to entertain that woman. Like that is like how it's used.
And I know this isn't canonical, but in the books they had mentioned, this was before any of these shows were on, that like number one was on the new Enterprise, new at the time with Kirk. And it was just like, they repartitioned all of the rooms up. Like they used to have there was half the amount of people on the ship, so they used to have a lot more space. And now it's like, oh wow, I remember Pike's something about Captain Pike had a really large stateroom, and Kirk's was like a quarter of the size. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That was my assumption as well.
Yeah.
That's the kind of headcanon it doesn't bother me because like they're doing something different visually. They have an aesthetic that they want for the show. And they told us that time corrects itself. So
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It also like, because I do understand that like if we're filming in like widescreen now, you need to fill out the screen more.
Mhm.
Like you've got to like, yeah, just like if there's more like space on the screen, you don't just want like dead space behind all the actors.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
the first season of Next Generation, it's particularly wonky. Like you'll see Riker really close to people. It's like,
Mhm.
and it's just because of the camera, but it's so funny to watch now in 2023.
Oh yeah, there's definitely like actors were like, so I remember someone being like, "Is this scene supposed to be romantic?" I was like, "No, the camera was just like that close. They had to stand next, like that close to each other."
There's also like a lot of touching of touch screens, and like they are not paying any attention to where they're touching because they don't think it's going to be on screen. Like
Mhm.
in Bride of Chaotica, Garrett Wong is like just touching the clock in the rocket ship a bunch of times. Like
Yeah.
that's not doing anything, Garrett. What are you doing? And like, because it's not going to touch anything. He just needed his arm to move somewhere. My nitpicking is ridiculous. I know that. Like, at me in the chat. Go for it.
That's fair. I'm here for I'm here for silly, goofy Star Trek. I'd give me silly, goofy Star Trek wherever.
Yeah.
Give me that. Like,
what I like
random
about Star
shot.
Trek fans is we can look at this episode and love it, and also like
Yeah.
find everything that like that could work better, but it doesn't
Yeah.
make us dislike it.
No,
Yeah.
I'm still going to watch it later and be like,
Right.
I could see this being an episode that I like in the future watch. Where like, I'm kind of in a bad mood. I'm gonna watch that episode where Anson Mount and Ethan Peck make me laugh a whole bunch, and like it'll
Eat
make
too
me
much
feel
bacon.
better.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Why
funny.
do I feel nauseated?
Oh, I did love his like he was confused about how hungry he was. And we're like, yes, hunger can affect your mood. And I was like, it really can, dude. Like you gotta get on that.
And contract.
Hangry.
I never thought about that. Like it's suppressing their emotions. Also, they probably don't stress eat
Yeah.
or anything like that, or eat at night or whatever. So yeah, maybe that's why they're all thin and unhappy.
Yeah. Look, I'm just saying, like, is eating a bunch of chocolate mousse good for me? Maybe not my body. It's good for my soul, though. That's all. What?
This is true.
Good job, Cake was a Turtle. That is important. A show who does love a skin cider.
I loved Pike's green wraparound thing. You can see his.
Oh yeah, I like.
It's different, right? It's different than the first season one.
I think
the first.
It was
This one was greener, wasn't it?
It looked more
I think
greener,
so.
and it also
Yeah.
it felt like the belt. I don't know. There's something different about that, but maybe it's just because we saw more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Maybe
did
it was
like how
a lot.
they used more of the transfer. So whenever I'm on these streams, I just have it going in the background, and I'm just looking over, and I'm seeing this beautiful scene. Like it looks beautiful. The transporter room is so damn big. Like I love that Amanda was like, I'm gonna beam in and like walk over here instead of just walk down the stairs. And Spock, come to the back of the transporter room. Before I leave, I just want to talk to you for a minute. And I noticed the transporter tech in this episode. I watched a few times to see, like, you can see a ponytail and a little bit of hair, and so like, normally you might presume longer hair is on a woman. I don't know about that. That's the binary, and it's bullshit. We can't make those assumptions anymore. Get over it. Gender is a construct. However, I do love the idea that, it's not a transporter twink and it's not a transporter queer person, so we're not going to see him. Sorry, cis het people. If you're operating the transporter room, we don't need you. We're not going to look at you. Just beam her in and move on.
But you don't know if that person what their sexuality or their gender is.
This is true, but I presume that they're a cis het person because we didn't see them. Because in this show, you need to be non-binary or a twink to operate the transporter room.
Show.
I'm just if they were operating the show, things would be very different. I keep forgetting that this one's recording and it's going to stay up. My salons disappear immediately after, and I will never work in entertainment now. So congrats, everybody. I'm being canceled. I'm canceling myself.
I think you're good. Oh, well, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. Like, trying. Now I'd like try to think of like any other part of the episode.
Yeah, it's like, where are we at?
I just love that we didn't see them. I thought it was a funny choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we hit like all the points, all the interesting parts, man.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like it's hard for me to talk about this episode because it's mostly I'm like it was funny, like I don't know what to add to that. Like it's somehow good at comedy, like
yeah, just his looks and everything, just whatever he did, even if he wasn't the focus of the show, you could see him in the background doing something.
We never brought up the fact that apparently while Spock and Chapel were having a moment, were they playing charades?
Oh, why didn't we get that?
That I still, I wanted to see some of the charades.
Yeah,
like it's and they could, there's so much there. Like
scene.
It's about it's a ritual to teach communication as we bring two families together or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's such an opportunity there.
And I love because the prig didn't know what was going on. She just looks at Spock like, "What are you doing? Like, what's happening?" I hope so. I want to see Anson Mount try to do charades for Vulcan.
I like it's like ear, and he's like, ugh. Didn't even start, and he was just like, oh.
I like that he was earnest in trying. What was his name? Savet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try.
And I like Amanda just going along with it. Yeah, yes, that very important ritual.
Mm-hmm. I love that there are
Now I'm looking
hundreds
at all
of
the
like
food in the background. Thanks, Stan.
I do love that there are hundreds of human rituals around marriage they could have chosen. They were like, charades. Like,
listen, as somebody who struggles to think of examples, like I was in a class yesterday and they were like, hey, come up with an example about I used Star Trek as an example for something. I forget what it was. It's like, oh god, I can't think of anything. I can't think of it. Like, oh, Worf is an asshole, and like that's just what I came up with in the moment. So charades, play a game.
I was once in a job interview.
When you're done.
No, go ahead. Super off topic. Sorry.
Yeah.
Once in a job interview, I was asked like, oh, what are your hobbies? And I just was not expecting that question. It said D&D, and the look I got was so bad.
Oh no!
And I tried to spin it, and it made it worse. And I think I spun it well. I think the person doing it was an asshole. I was going for a marketing job, but it was at a real estate agency. And I think they were just more used to being cutthroat. And I spun it and I said, oh, what I really like about D&D is that you get to be collaborative instead of competitive because I enjoy working with people. And she looked at me and went, isn't that sweet? And like looked me up and down.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, exactly. I live in the South. It was like 100% the vibe. Now when people ask me what my hobby is, I say reading. So in a job interview, which is true, but like, what were you saying, Aaron?
Oh, Ortega's like when they in the shuttle, Uhura's giving like an analogy, and she's just like, I hate analogies because they're never like. It's sort of like she's making fun of that Star Trek thing where there's always an analogy about something. Now imagine a kite flying in the air, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. Yeah, and Ortega's was just her overall, I felt like she had more to do there and was funnier than in the episode where she hopefully was not the only one where she was like featured. Like, we got more out of her in this episode for sure.
I appreciate that, Brian.
Roll initiative. That's funny.
Yeah, she was right. Bless your heart. I love that for you.
Oh yeah.
Also, title of a great show that used to be on Showtime, but now it was pulled, and we don't get to see it, even though our prices went up on Paramount Plus. Such a good show.
The multiple shows that I would have wanted to watch on Showtime were just gone. It's like, why?
Having 3D printers now with the ability to do things is really cool, because if you look at T'Pring's dress, it's obviously like this really cool lace. Like, you wouldn't have been able to do that easily or cheaply before this. Now they can just do it and then spray paint it, make it look metallic or whatever. And
yeah, T'Pring's dress was awesome.
So cool. Stan, does this thing where like interweave. Sorry.
So with Paramount Plus Premium, like it went up $1 and you get Showtime.
Well, it depends on what plan you were on, because some people actually got a price. I do the yearly plan, so in April, it's going to be, instead of 95 or 99, it's going to be 120, and it's because it includes Showtime now.
Mine went up like $1 or $2 a month. What was funny is I had just upgraded to the premium plan because I wanted to be able to download episodes. I was like, I could do another $2. Actually, it's $4 now because the price raised went up 3 days after you did this. I was like, I don't want to go back and forth.
With all this bullshit that they're doing with pulling shit and maybe ramping down, I probably won't renew. And like so I have had Paramount Plus since it was CBS All Access. I've had the premium, no commercial from day one because of Star Trek. And now that they're not going to be giving, like, I don't need Star Trek every week or not even every quarter, but now that it's going to be like 1 to 2 shows, it makes more sense for me to not renew the yearly and just do the 2 months that or the 3 months that we're getting 10 episodes, cut it off, and then when Lower Decks comes back on, get the 3 months then, because it'll be cheaper for me overall to do that. Like, they're so ridiculous. Like they're the CEOs and the MBAs who are so bad at business just confound me. Just wild.
Well, and then we, just found out that the actors are going on strike. So
yes,
you would think you'd want to keep around shows if you're not able to make anything for a while.
That's what I was like. That
and also sense. Pro people striking, pay people for their labor. Seriously.
There are a lot of really great accounts on Twitter talking about it. So I'll just repeat some of them. Like the thing that drives me the most nuts is the CEOs are obviously woefully out of touch. Like Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney today, said that they were being disruptive and some other nonsense, but unrealistic.
I have never seen someone blow bad press, like good press, more than Bob Iger in the last 24 hours. People were so pro him because Bob Chapek was so bad that I was like, you could have just sailed this ship and like.
Yeah, they are too beholden to shareholders and Wall Street. That's all that they care about, is what Wall Street thinks of them. And the thing that drives me the most nuts is what the writers are asking for, tiny percentage of profits. What the actors are asking for, tiny percentage of profits. What they're both asking for, and what the directors really missed the mark on with accepting their deal. They got a decent one, but could have been better. Was on the AI front, like they're dropping the ball.
It's unethical, and also they look bad.
Yes, yes. And everything that they're asking for, the CEOs could pay for it themselves with a slight reduction in salary, and their quality of life would not change. The greed is absurd.
Yeah, they have more money than they could ever spend. I don't like. This isn't like the CEO of a small company who's like, oh, that's like half of what I earn.
Right.
It's a small percentage.
He could literally, all of these CEOs could literally make half what they're making, and their quality of life would not change.
Yeah. Especially because I'm sure they all also have insane like portfolios. They're like this probably isn't even the most money they make, and they're still being so greedy.
Oh yeah. So Bob Iger, for example, he just negotiated a new deal where it's $45 million a year, but with stock options and bonuses, it's more likely double that.
Yeah.
And if they're struggling and they can't commit to these deals, then how are they like? So why is your pay going up even 1%? Why, like, if it's that bad, you shouldn't even be getting an inflation increase.
I'm like, I feel like they're like, oh, the people are gonna be mad at the actors, and I was like, I don't know why you think that, because one, the actors are the people we actually know, faces, like comparatively, even like I'm more involved in like media than like the average person would be, and so like I do follow writers, and was like up with the writer's strike. They'll be up with the actors more. These are the people that like people like the pretty people care about. Like,
right.
I'm not saying that's the only reason. That's not a great reason to care about a strike, but it will get more press because of that.
I am hoping that this also puts into the mind people understand that just because you're an actor and maybe you were on a television show does not mean that you're somehow filthy rich.
Yeah.
Because I know so many actors and writers who like they have to have 2 other jobs. You know, just like.
And more often than not, they're like the residuals for streaming are so low. People are getting like 13-cent checks.
I saw somebody had put one on Twitter. It's like, here's my 2 cents.
They're not getting a couple $100 here and there. They're not getting a couple thousand anymore. Not on streaming.
And I feel like people are also missing the mark when they're like, when big celebrities are talking about being pro the strike, and they're like, oh, they make so much money. I was like, they're not being pro the strike for them now. They're being pro the strike for them 20 years ago when they were starting.
And
like,
when they're dead,
like,
so they don't have to use their face.
Right.
Yes, that also. I I remember hearing something that actors are starting to write in, like, you cannot just like bring me back from the dead because it's creepy. It doesn't look. I'm sorry. None of the Star Wars characters with the de-aging look good. Like, or the Marvel. I thank God every day that I thank God every day for Ethan Peck, and that I'm not watching a deep fake Leonard Nimoy every week.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes the de-aging is can be really, really good. There were scenes in Quantum Mania that Michelle Pfeiffer looked like she did, like in those Batman movies.
Well, that's because she still looks amazing.
Yeah,
that's because she still looks amazing.
That's true.
Like the de-aging for her is very different than Patrick Stewart. No offense,
it's like not my favorite. It's like not my favorite effect in the world. It's very different to me when they're using a actor who's currently living and being like, we need you to play 20 years ago. We're going to do an effect on you, but it's still your performance. As opposed to a completely different actor is playing Luke, and they're just putting Mark Hamill's face over it. Because he's like, Mark Hamill is way too, like, just the gap between him and...
What was it that Fran Drescher today? Oh, sorry.
I wanted to say, I also feel a little differently if it's like an actor died in production of a movie and they're just trying to finish up the one movie they were contracted to do.
The Fast and the Furious one.
Fast and Furious.
Paul
even though
Walker.
Even though I don't love the final product, the last of the like Star Wars sequels. What were you saying that Fran Drescher said?
Oh, she mentioned that there was. This was like, you know, because everything. Oh, this AI thing is, you know, not now. But basically there was like an extra in the background and he couldn't come back the next day. And they're like, okay, we'll just scan your face in and we'll figure out like, we don't need you anymore kind of thing. And she's like, what? Wow. It's like, that's, you know, that was on a production that just happened.
Yeah.
Their proposal was to pay background actors for 1 day, get scanned and use it forever. No consent, no residual, no nothing.
How does that not, how is
that not illegal?
One, but how do they say that out loud and not realizing they're turning into villains from 90s?
They're so out of touch These MBAs have
Yeah.
been told that they're special their entire lives, and they in their MBA classes are talking about business, and the only thing that matters is the stock price. And when the call sheet comes and people are looking at our stock price going up, it's all they care about. They are just woefully out of touch. They cannot fathom that anybody living any kind of experience in themselves might have a good idea about what things should be.
Yeah, I don't. It's like crazy to me, and it's funny because actually, as I was saying earlier, a lot of my childhood heroes have been like turning out to maybe not be the best people. I was really into Buffy and Harry Potter in high school. Let's not talk about it. I was also really into The Nanny. Thank God Fred Drescher did not turn out to be that. I was like, oh yes,
that we know of. Dun, dun, dun.
There's time.
Yeah.
Let me have today. Like
she's great right now. She's doing great.
Yeah.
She was getting some shit for seeming to be a little too amenable to the studios, but I think she was being earnest with them. Like the 2-week extension that she was for, like, let's make headway, and they were just trying to screw them over more.
And I say this to someone who obviously doesn't actually know Fran Drescher, but has like followed her for a long time. That it seemed to me that she was maybe could have been a little naive and being like, I'm being sincere, and so are they. And then once she realized they weren't, she got pissed.
Right.
And I did think it was very telling that when during the press conference, when someone asked about her being like at a party, it was like another person who was like, actually, it was like she was like negotiating the whole time. And it like, because she like had something to say, but he was like, actually,
wasn't it also like a contractual obligation she had to do?
It was a contractual obligation. She was she said she was like a brand ambassador and was contractually obligated to be there for a fashion brand. So it was like, and that she was like also would like go do the work for that and would zoom in to meetings at like really late at night because it was like she was in Italy, so it would be like the actors.
Wow. Yeah, she sounds like she maybe has been yelling all night. Her voice is
even more than usual. I love her voice so much. It's iconic.
No, but I mean, but she definitely sounded like
Fred
that.
Because I gotta eat and get ready for the salon.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
Looks only stands 85 for the salon tweet, and we'll see y'all there in 46 minutes.
Yes,
thanks,
man.
Is there anything else we wanted to say about the episode or about the strike? So I think we've moved basically onto that. I think you said as much. Yeah.
Just that we don't know what Comic-Con and STLV is going to look like this year. People are debating online, like, is this promotion? Is it this? Is it that? Like, so it really depends on what they consider it if they can go.
Yeah.
And people might just not go in solidarity.
I obviously, as I have made very clear, pro strike. I, however, think it was morbidly hilarious. The first Star Trek convention I'm able to go to is when the actors can't. I like. There's something. I was
maybe.
Like, I'm stealing that for it. Like if I'm ever part of the WGA, I'm stealing that for a script because that's funny. Like.
Oh, that really sucks that the actors won't be at the convention.
Sad. Well, we don't know yet.
We're not sure about STLV. Yeah. They definitely won't be at Comic-Con. Comic-Con is definitely promotion. Yeah. We don't know how. No one is quite clear on what it means for like conventions that are like not part of the studio process. Like, because they're paid to go to Comic-Con as part like by the studios. Whereas convention, like I'm just going to use STLV as the example because that's the one we're all familiar with. They go there to like as like part of a side hustle, basically. I appreciate you not wanting to ruin my con. I'll still meet friends there, so that will be fun. I'm sure I will still have fun, even if actors can't be there. I just think it would be funny. Also
What if the
hilarious.
actors
Like one
just
of the
showed
actors,
up to go to the, I'm just here.
yeah, one of the actors I really wanted to meet, ironically, was also on The Nanny. So there's a
That's
lot
cool.
going on. Yeah. Daniel Davis, Moriarty is
Hmm.
Niles.
Right.
Yes,
I didn't know he was gonna be there. That's cool.
Yeah, the actors are obviously not the only reason I was going. Because this is the first year that I've ever been able to.
Oh, I think Rachel
Looks like
lost.
Rachel has frozen.
Yeah,
Oh,
lost.
have I?
Oh, there you are. Yep, now you're back.
I don't know. I didn't freeze at all. Like I never heard you guys stop, so that was weird. I don't. What is the last thing you heard me say? Wait, am I?
You just finished talking about
your first time at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
like this is your first
I was just
Comic-Con.
saying,
You haven't.
this is like
STLB.
the first time I'll be able to go to STL TV. So
Very cool.
I ended up like I'm doing this project where it's like I don't know what my time is, so I didn't get anything, and now maybe that's for the best. Who knows? Definitely for Comic-Con, because that's going to be. I mean, yes, Comic-Con is about comics, so if you love it, it's still a great place to go. But if you were looking forward to like media stuff, like even the Star Trek TAS panel, I don't even know what that's going to be like.
Interesting to see what Comic-Con is like this year, because one, they just don't have anything to promote.
Yeah.
Like all of the big, like they can't make anything. And neither the actors or writers can promote anything right now.
You were talking about ripple effect for like like that affects San Diego then. I mean, because that's if people just don't come because
it'll be like
huge...
when South by was canceled for COVID. And we're all like, a lot of people were like some waiter, like people I know that are like wait staff, and we're like, that's half my like income for the year.
Yeah.
This is true. I like hope those people will able to get their moment too.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is true. It would be funny if some actors did just like come. You know what? I would be up for the actors just coming and be like, actually, we're just going to sit on this panel and talk about the strike.
That would be interesting.
I find this stuff interesting, like fascinating. So I was like, I'll like sit around and like see actors talk about the strike.
You could turn the whole thing into like a visual support of that, just like that could actually, kind of energize it.
If it wasn't so close. Okay, so I'm going to say this in case someone else has like the ability to make this happen, because I don't have like, the right uniform for this at all. Someone needs to like dress up as O'Brien with like he was a Union man.
I thought of that right away when you were just.
I don't have any like I don't have like any uniform that would work for that, and I definitely don't have time to get one now before STL TV. So.
Speaking of time, I also probably need to jump here soon.
Yeah,
my eyes have been going off screen because I didn't get emails have been coming in. So
that is fair. Why don't we wrap stuff up? You guys got anything going on this?
I have a comic book cover coming out next month for the Star Trek motion picture comic thing, the Echoes.
Nice.
And then there's other stuff that I can't talk about right now. So
that's
part of the emails.
Wow.
So that's what I got.
It sounds exciting.
Hopefully.
I don't have anything happening, but I will see you guys next week. Hopefully.
I will say one thing. I'm going to be part of Virtual JaneCon this weekend, which is a Jane Austen convention, so might not be of interest to anyone here. But I have a video coming out Sunday for that. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think that I. Oh, okay. Well, I was going to tell Rachel. No, Rachel, I was going to tell you that I don't think that I'm following you on YouTube.
I like literally post almost like basically once a year for this convention, so that's not a surprise. And then I occasionally put shorts that are on Twitter, so like you can, but like it's Dromedoric 884 there too.
Okay.
Which is
Well,
why it's a
hopefully
big
I'll.
deal that the one YouTube video I make a year is popping up.
Have fun at the con. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's virtual, so it's not like, but yeah,
No
it'll be
parking
fun.
problems.
No parking. It's actually I hate parking so much. Okay, I
If
will
Stan
see
was here, he would agree
everyone-
that like that's part of LA. Like you just no, I don't want to go because I don't know where I'm going to park.
Rachel, you didn't give a rating.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 8 out of 10. I think that's my rating for the episode. 8 out of 10.
Same for me, actually.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 8.5 out of 10.
That's fair.
This was good. This was a nice palate cleanser after next week or after last week.
Last week, my lucky number. So when I'm like always thinking of a high number, but it's not perfect, I think my brain goes to 8 before 9, even though like 9's technically better.
Oh, but but 9 has to be like real good. Like 9's like real good. I thought this was good.
Yeah. I thought it was good.
And maybe if they didn't have the kissing scene at the end, it might have been a 9. I wanted like a little bit more like lust and longing.
I'm really curious to see how it connects to the next episode, so we can find out like, okay, how important was that moment?
Braxton, you want the slow burn for them?
Dude, I want the slow burn.
Still Wrath of Khan. They're still like looking at each other.
That was just like the slowest of slow burns. Okay. I think that's all I have about the episode. I guess live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.